Hi guys, and welcome to another table talk. We have the white table a little bit different today, and you can see this young man is not Hikaru. So you guys haven't seen another table talk with another man. So we're here this time with the lovely Luke Bantatua, and we're at his awesome cafe called Coffee Doctors. And for those of you who've been watching for a while, you'll know that this is part of the F7 Building Blocks to Freedom series or YouTube channel. So if you like what you see, please do subscribe, share, all of those wonderful things. And so the F7, so I'm thinking today it's probably going to be fun. So there's 7 Fs. So there's faith, family, foundations, which is fitness and reframing your thinking, finances and feelings, fun, future and freedom. So I think today is going to be more about a bit of a mix, but definitely finances and feelings.
Okay, cool.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to introduce Luke first. So he's the founder and owner of Coffee Doctors. He's a local kid who grew up and went to school around Hornsby, which is in Sydney, for those of you who don't know. He wants to give his local community some delicious coffee and quality coffee experience that makes them smile. He's all about helping people make coffee sustainable for the future without compromising quality, and also making people happier than before they meet at Coffee Doctors, which is awesome. And we're both part of a local business group, the Hornsby Chamber of Commerce. That's how we met.
That's right, how we met,
Yep. And also, just a bit later, sneak rush ahead, he also has a podcast, which we're going to come to a bit later. Awesome. Well, thanks so much for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. And what made you interested to say yes when I invited you?
I think for me I'm always about helping others, aim, focus for their dreams, focus for what they want to achieve, and to be part of it, to be involved with, sharing my story. And if that helps someone else out there watching this or listening to this, then I'm all for that.
Yeah, awesome. And you can hear a lot of background noise. We've got the audio system working today, so you should be able to hear us fine, but it's a real situation in his cafe. And one of the things that's interesting about the cafe is Coffee Doctors. What's the doctors? Because I think that's really interesting.
Yeah, sure.
And we just had a guy walk past there. Tell us about that.
So there's a few reasons, but one of the main reasons is because it's right in front of my parents' medical center, and they're actually doctors. They wanted me to also be a doctor, but I guess I found a different way to be a doctor. Started Coffee Doctors. And another reason why we called it Doctors is because I want to help heal coffee, help make it sustainable for the future. For the coffee farmers and everyone out there who's part of the whole chain of producing coffee from soil to cup. So that's the main reason why I like Doctors. Yep,
awesome. And I'm having a coffee and it's awesome. It's my first decaf coffee here, and that's a bit of a winner as well, so thank you.
Thank you, Karen.
And that's on top of the awesome coffee that I had here last week or the week before. Cool. Okay. So basically the F7 Building Blocks to Freedom is also under the business Imagineering to a Better World. So it's Imagine plus Engineering. So it's you have a vision and then you have a practical solution or a practical plan to get there. And so I'm really keen to hear your story. So today's partly about meeting Luke, finding out a bit more about him. And especially because I've taught so many international students or students who, like young Aussies, you sound like you were probably born here.
I was born here.
Yep.
Born and raised here.
But there's not many Aussies that look like me that have two doctors, like parents as two doctors.
Yes.
So, and I think your story will resonate with so many of the young ones that are going through, just tell us a bit. Like you said that you were going to be a doctor, you were thinking about being a doctor. Tell us about that.
When I was young, when you grew up with like a family, especially in an Asian background, you don't really want to make them feel sad or feel like you don't actually want what they want for you, because at the end of the day they just want what's best for you. They're not trying to force you to do something that they think is going to be bad for you. And the tough part was, just like never reaching expectations. Like when it came to school, I was never really the smartest kid. I was good at talking. I always got in trouble for talking at school and not really having the best attention span. And the hard thing was, knowing that, your parents have other friends who are doctors, and you sort of like a disappointment in a way. You not that they say you are, but you feel like you are because you're not good enough. You feel like you're not good enough, and that was really tough during my childhood. Having doctor parents and having them have that expectation on me.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think the difference between people thinking you have to be really good at school and your academic education to succeed in life.
Yeah.
And so that's one thing I love about the way that you've approached all of this. It's a little bit similar to me as well. I mean, I did quite well in school and, been to uni and stuff. But to me, it's got to be about practical experience.
Yes.
So I think that's, super important. So tell us when you realised, or how old were you when you realised, okay, I'm really not going to be a doctor.
Yeah.
And what made you change and what did you do?
Okay. So I think I was about 21 or 22 years old. I'd finished uni because I went straight to uni after school. And I was doing like an arts and science degree, but it's because I was trying to be a doctor. I didn't really have the grades for it, so I was trying to make my way around it. And then I kind of had this like halfway point where I became a med rep when I graduated, because it was kind of like a doctor, like in the medical field, and it was in sales. And what happened was, over time, like working with pharmacists and doctors, like selling them, drugs or like things that can
legally,
that can help their patients and everything. I kind of realized over time that the medical field wasn't really for me, and it was really scary to actually, when I got to the point where I realized I'm not happy doing this. I'm not happy going to who I go see every day. I'm just not happy because I don't feel like I have the right purpose for my life. Everyone's got a different purpose. Everyone's got a different thing that they're passionate about, they love. And, that's how I realized when I wasn't happy waking up every day, that I lacked the purpose that I really wanted to work towards.
And you kept saying, I'm not happy, but there's something that makes you happy, which is really creative.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
I love being creative. I love building community through coffee. So when you make coffee, there's so many factors that go into coffee. There's the actual sourcing of coffees from all over the world, whether it be Kenya or Brazil. There's just unlimited amounts of coffee in the world that you can gather as a resource. And then sort of think of me like a chef when it comes to coffee, because I have to roast the coffee from those countries, and you can roast in so many different ways that creates a different outcome for the customer or the person drinking it. And I love that creativity. I love that there's so many options, so many variables, and every day, every week, when you get coffee and you play around with it to create this lovely beverage to drink, you never know what the result is all the time, because you just have new stuff all the time, and it's kind of spontaneous. You have to adapt. Like, you may have had coffee from one place, doesn't taste the same like before. It's because you need this skill of like always having to adapt to the way the bean is at that moment in time. So I love that. I don't like a monotonous thing where you wake up, same thing every day. I like change. I like trying to adapt and try to find the correct way to do something every time.
Awesome.
And that's what gets me happy every single morning when I wake up as well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And you talked about the trade. So as an example, if you're sourcing from other countries, you mentioned about being a coffee doctor.
Yep.
So tell us a little bit about that. How do you go into what are you looking for when you're going to buy?
Yep.
Sourcing your coffee beans.
So when we're looking for coffee, obviously quality is also very important. I would say that sustainability and all that stuff is also very important, but quality, if I have a sustainable coffee but it doesn't make me smile or Catherine smile when she drinks it, it's not making me happy at the end of the day.
And your business will go down.
And my business would go down as well. But when I try to search and source, sustainable coffee and ethical coffee, I look for coffees that, have some sort of association with, helping social problems, like people who are involved in civil war. for example, like Honduras or El Salvador, for example, where there's some sort of civil war that goes on, and the coffee farm that produces that coffee, they actually take in those people who are victims of civil war, and they give them jobs, they give them a decent income, a decent wage to live by every day. That's one example. Other ones are like Rainforest Alliance, so they also focus on environmental issues, not just social issues. So some farms have a specific percentage of their farmland that is just designated for animals. Live animals that that grow in the wild, that live in the wild, so that when we don't knock down that forest, they have a place to live as well. So those are the things that I look for in terms of sustainability, like whether they're helping humans, social, and whether they're helping actual animals, environmental, and rainforests. Because we don't have that much of it left compared to like a long time ago. So those two are very important to me. But above all else, having the right quality product, because that makes my customers happy every day.
And how many people that come do you think know about that side?
To be honest, I would say maybe about 15%. Yeah.
Which I think is wonderful because part of my background is teaching, and I've been doing those sorts of things for many years, but also going over and training like basic business and things in third world countries. So I just love it when I connect with people that are on the same wavelength, because we can say not-for-profits are great, but to me it's like putting your hand out and you're not sustainable. So that's what you said, the key word is sustainable.
That's right.
So to me it's got to be about social entrepreneurship.
And I just want to also put in there is that, see, farmers who grow coffee, they're not growing coffee because they're like, I just love growing coffee. They grow coffee because it's a business for them. It supports their family, their kids, their friends, their relatives, whoever it is, whether it be in Brazil, Colombia, wherever. And them growing coffee is the same as just growing corn or wheat or something else that can give their family income. And when you don't give them enough incentive to grow coffee because something else is more appealing like corn, then that affects their decision to keep growing coffee. So helping pay a fair price for coffee, helping them consistently work and better their product, their service for us as the roasters to give you guys a better coffee. That is also important, that you pay a fair price so that they keep wanting to do that rather than something else. And that's another big thing about sustainability.
And also sometimes what they have to revert to, especially in really poor areas, is either drugs or even prostitution or even selling a child. It's just horrendous. Sometimes I've heard that the parents think, okay, well, and they don't deliberately sell their children, but sometimes it might be, okay, I'm going to send that child overseas because there's this awesome opportunity. They might be a little bit suspicious, but then you hear back later there's just horrendous things happening. So that's wonderful. And the fact that you're doing it so young is huge.
Thanks.
So it's exciting. Also, you didn't just go from being a medical rep to coffee.
No, so I did a few other things, like I worked for other companies because I was actually like just trying to figure out what I really wanted to do. So I was really interested in like not just this coffee shop, but I was interested in like wine. I was interested in coffee. Like I was very curious, hence why we call it Coffee for the Curious. We have on our shirts. And I started working at this place that roasted like actual coffee. Because when I went there, I loved that coffee builds community. That when I was there, I saw people just coming through, and without coffee, I would have never met Catherine. So that's what I love about coffee, is that it builds community. And when that happened, I started working there, and I started off just like like trying to learn about coffee there, because I wasn't sure exactly what I wanted to do. I was still just figuring out, and I want to encourage everyone watching or listening that when you're young or whatever age you are, it's okay to just keep experimenting, keep trying.
Absolutely.
And when I started working there, what happened was I was just the apprentice, I was just a junior, someone that was there to just package beans and whatever. And then over time, the people who used to work there, they left. And that chucked me in the deep end. I actually had to learn what they knew. And so that involved me spending long hours in the morning just going there and reading books about coffee and how to get better at it, and also finishing up work and just staying there and reading about coffee again.
Yeah.
And just over time, when I started roasting the coffee for other cafes and all that sort of stuff, I started also entering competitions for them.
Wow.
And when I entered those competitions, I actually started winning awards for that company as their head roaster. And what happened was, when I realized that I was, you know what, I'm actually not bad at this. Like, and I actually enjoy what we spoke about before, the creativity. I enjoy the making of the new blends or single origins, roasting it a certain way. And then I realized, you know what, maybe I can do this for myself, right? And then I started roasting my own coffee, but I still needed to have a job while I was door knocking. And so when I started door knocking in my neighborhood, I also had to find other jobs to work that would kind of sink in, because no one is going to answer the door at 10 p.m. at night when you're trying to sell a bag of beans to their house. So I actually got a job that was a nighttime job, because the roasting job, I couldn't do it during the day anymore, because it was either that or door knocking, one of the two. So you also got to make sacrifices and understand opportunity costs, that if you choose to do one thing, you can't do the other thing. And so what happened was, I started working at this dessert bar, and the dessert bar I would work from about 6-7 p.m. when dessert started till about like midnight. So that would be like me, but I would be actually like making the coffees, making the hot chocolates. So it was still making somewhat coffee on a machine, but it wasn't specialty coffee, which is what I wanted to do. And then during the day, I would package my own coffee, roast my own coffee, and then door knock my whole neighborhood. Like to door knock 10 to 20 houses, it's a lot of houses. And it's a lot of walking, like you walk, you knock, you wait, you walk, you knock, you wait. And so that was basically my life for about 1.5 years, 2 years.
And can I ask a question? Yeah. What did you wear when you door knocked? Like, did people think you were a Jehovah's Witness or something?
They thought I was a Jehovah's Witness. I thought I was trying to like, sell them on something like that. And yeah, like half the time they would just slam the door. And I want to say that when I actually did that, it was really beneficial for me, because it taught me how to accept rejection. Because not everyone, when you door knock, they actually want to talk to you. Some of the time, actually most of the time, they'll just slam the door in your face. But they won't, like, you can actually hear them walking inside the house, but they don't even open the door because they think you're a Jehovah's Witness. And that was something that I had to grow a muscle and get used to, and understand that it's okay to get rejected. It's okay.
And did you ever yell out, "I'm not a JW"?
No, I didn't do that because I didn't want to scare them or whatever.
And that's not being rude. I have had friends over my life that are JWs that are awesome.
Yeah.
But I just mean, I used to, like years ago, there used to be Avon ladies knocking everywhere. So occasionally when I go to someone's house, and it was at dinner time, as an example, I would yell out, "It's not the Avon lady."
Yeah, so that was what I used to do before I actually opened up this shop. And I will say that another great thing about that is that when I did open up this shop, the people who would actually message me and ask, "Hey Luke, I need more coffee beans for home," they already followed me on Facebook or Instagram, social media. So when I opened the shop, it wasn't just dead, quiet. That we had a few people who would come out and actually get a coffee. Yeah. So starting small is always important.
Oh, absolutely. And there were so many lessons in there. Like you mentioned about sacrifice, you mentioned about opportunity cost. You didn't mention hard work, dedication, discipline. Yes. And Luke hasn't mentioned it yet, but he's also a muso, amazing muso.
I didn't say that part yet either.
So the discipline. So when people are into sport, when people are doing music, don't ever underestimate all that training.
Yes, and I will say as well that this coffee business wasn't my first business. I actually, when I was in uni, I actually had a DJ business. So I would do weddings, house parties, clubs. So I had like that sort of background of like, okay, I'm gonna do this work for myself. And sometimes you make money, sometimes you don't, and that's okay, because when you start small, you have to accept failures and then get better from those failures. You have to pivot, make a change, and learn from them, because you're not going to just start up, it's perfect straight away. You have to understand that it's a learning process, and you have to embrace that.
And so now you might think Luke's actually 80. He looks really good for 80 because he's been in this industry, and I love it because that's similar to my background, because I did the same thing.
Yeah.
So can you just share with people exactly how old you are? Or do you want to share exactly? You don't have to.
I'm 29.
Yeah. So just amazing to have that sort of background at such a young age, which is just
Thank
awesome.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Also, I'm aware that time's always moving on. I'm not exactly sure because I forgot to time us when we started. I just want to go through just a few of your key lessons. Like I'd love to I already know I'd love to have you back on again at some stage.
Yeah.
But this time I just want you to think about what if there's someone you know, especially maybe from Asian background or that's sort of not sure what they want to do I'll let you answer. But if they're doing something that they feel like they're pleasing somebody else, especially maybe they're at uni or maybe they're at school, what advice could you give them?
So I would firstly say, like, it's okay that you feel that way. Don't think that you're different. Don't think that there's something wrong with you. There isn't anything wrong with you. You're just fine the way you are. And you need to just firstly ask yourself, okay, if I like looked at my day, what would I be happy actually doing? And you don't have to have the answer straight away. Like, it can take you a bit of time to actually figure out what is it that I actually want to do with my life. And like I mentioned before, when I started roasting coffee and winning awards for the place that I used to work at, that was a sign, feedback from strangers who didn't even know me, that I was actually all right at it. So when you ask yourself, like, what is it that you're happy doing, that you could see yourself doing, that you would be happy with, just take a little bit of time every single day. Don't have to be the whole day. Just take a small amount of time and just give it a go. And don't be scared to ask for feedback. Feedback is gold. Whether it be rejection or being accepted for what you do, that at least gives you some sort of sign if you're going in the right direction or the wrong direction. I always say, like, if you see like a fork in the road and you don't know which way to go, just run one way really quick. And if you realize that it's the wrong way, just run back and go the other way.
I like that.
Rather than spending so much time trying to figure out which way you want to go.
Yeah.
So that's what I'd encourage you, is like just small experiments, asking yourself, what for me actually makes me happy? What do I actually want to do? But don't quit straight away what you're doing. Just do small little experiments and then get feedback. Because then you'll know, okay, if that's really good, then I'm going to start doubling down. Like when I went to the dessert bar, I didn't quit all my jobs straight away and just door knocked. I still had a job, and then I still door knocked until enough people were ordering my coffee and a few cafes were using my coffee. Then I was like, okay, that's enough feedback. I'm gonna open up a shop.
Yeah.
So I didn't go straight from I like coffee, open shop straight away.
Yeah.
I did those little steps of feedback and experimentation, and that was like, just to give you guys a bit of patience, that took me 4 to 5 years to get to where I am now. So don't expect it in 3 months, 4 months. Be patient over 4 to 5 years.
And have realistic expectations.
Yes, have realistic expectations. And just remember that just because you expect something doesn't mean that it's always going to turn out the way it is. Like, I can guarantee you right now, I'll tell you right now, the way I envisioned this shop when I first opened it is completely different to what it is now. And you need to always learn to adapt to the situation, and don't fall in love with your idea, because half of it is your customers who also want something from you.
Yeah.
So, you got to also meet them halfway, compromise, adapt, but never lose focus on your true vision and what you want to do.
Yeah, and I think being around encouragers, because you can get feedback, but if you've got the people in your life that are more challengers, you can just think, oh my gosh, I'm never going to do that again. So did you have encouragers?
Yeah, so I actually surrounded myself with people who were already in this game, who are much further down the track than me, because I would always encourage you as well to, if you see someone with a life that you want, do everything you can, like work for them for free, or like just be there as often as you can in their presence to see if that's the life that you actually want. Because if you're working towards something and you see someone who's already further down the track and you don't want that life, then it's a good sign that you probably shouldn't go down that track.
Yeah.
So always see like mentors, find people who are kind of in your industry or kind of doing what you want to do, and make the time to get their attention of some sort. Like, you know, if you need to buy them a gift, buy them a gift that has your phone number that says call me on this number, so then they call you. I don't know.
Yeah, it could be. Yep, absolutely. And I think, and you didn't mention the word, but for me it's about honouring those who have gone before.
Yeah.
So as an example, there's a man who's actually a billionaire now, but every time I saw him, I would fight to buy him a coffee, buy him a glass of wine, because I'm sure everybody around him would have wanted him to buy them things. But I just wanted to show, well, he was actually speaking into my life, so I wanted to be, you know, buying him a coffee or buying a glass of wine. I mean, occasionally, you know, like he bought me wine, whatever. But I wanted to show that, hey, I'm not around you for that reason. I want to be one of the people that's holding him up.
I would say give rather than take. Always ask yourself, what can I give? Not always take, because even when you're really successful in business and everything you do, you have to remember that it's only part of what you make is what you keep. Yeah. You know, you always have to give. And it's not like you give because it's like you feel obligated to, but I just encourage you that when you do give, your world just gets bigger and bigger. You can't explain it. It's just when you give, the generous gives, there's things that happen that you just can't explain it, but it happened out of generosity.
Yeah,
so,
that's it.
Yeah.
And tell us about your podcast.
Right.
That's exciting.
Yeah, so I have a little podcast on Spotify. It's called Dream Big, with my name, Luke Bantatua.
We'll put links on this as well.
We'll put links and everything.
Yeah.
The reason why I have that podcast is because I want to just help others dream big through other people's stories, whether it's my own or our local community. Because at the end of the day, I want as many people as possible to be able to live out their dreams, and it's not easy. Like it's a lot easier to sit in your room and just dream, but to actually execute that dream and work towards it every day, it's an ongoing process. And that's why I have that podcast, because I want people to be able to not just dream it, but actually get the tools, have a good community that they can listen to, and be encouraged and keep working towards that dream every day.
Yeah, and also just coming back and just reiterating. Luke said he loves talking, which we can tell. Yeah. And at school, I'm sure, because I'm a teacher, I would know, that's Luke.
She'd be like, oh, there's Luke again at the back talking. But
it's so important. But still, Luke said that when he's going to the houses, he still had to be okay with rejection, because that's one of the main things. Is like, I find sales for most people is the biggest. And I think sometimes it's because you don't want to feel like you're pushing something, but if you really believe in something, then it's like, well, of course you're going to be excited about it and passionate about it.
Yes. So I would say when it comes to if you're trying to sell something, or you're trying to, if you believe in something that you actually believe that it's going to give that person value, then you need to take responsibility and actually tell someone about it. So you're not telling them so that you can make money from them. You're telling them because you actually believe that you have something better that will make their life better. And just remember and think of it like that, is that it's okay if they say, no, I don't want it, because at the end of the day, you've done your part. You've tried to show. Don't be like so pushy that they're like don't really want to talk to you ever again. But if you can actually we can, I guess, cover that another time with like how you can maybe approach it. But just always make sure that when you're trying to sell something, it's not like you're trying to make money from them. You're trying to better their life through something. And if you're watching this and you've got anything for free, you don't value it as much as if you paid for. Let's say you get a free concert ticket, and then like you paid for one that's like $200. Which one do you want to miss out on more? Which one do you want to go to more? So money, like putting a price on things, it gives value to something, but just remember that you're just trying to make someone else's life better through whatever you're trying to give to them or sell to them.
Yeah, and also, you know, even with social media, like sometimes, you know, it looks like you're on social